Yo, what's good, family? My name is Corey, as y'all well know. That's Corey, the massage technician. Caress Corey with the SHEP group, Sexual Health Educations Program. And I am bringing you day two of the Black Male Sexual Health course. The trauma, toxicity, and love of Black male experiences. Yes. So to jump into this here, I'm going to share my screen and bring up the course content for you all today. How y'all doing? Well, y'all are good, living a life, doing the thing, being well, drinking water, staying hydrated, meditating, being within yourself, staying present, breathing, all of that good stuff. So, this is day two of the Black Male Sexual Health course. And just to start this off, like I started off with the last course that we had today, or should I say today, what was that, September 17th, where I brought y'all the introductory course. If any of y'all are interested in joining the Black Male Sexual Health course that we have, I, in essence, need to vet you. So if you can, just send me your name, preferred pronouns, and where you're from, why you want to join this Black Male Sexual Health course, and what you hope to learn from this course, and your favorite body part. And send that to coreyjh.cmt@gmail.com. That's to spell it out is coreyjh.cmt@gmail.com. And just let me know that you're interested in joining the group, and I can get you the Zoom link information. This particular class for day two will be going on October 1st from 2 to 3 on a Thursday. So we'll be having a discussion within that class setting. However, I'm just prepping y'all to what's going to be going on and how we're going to be conducting the course, and how this particular class is going to be illustrated, if you will, Also, I'm going to be posting this video on YouTube. So if y'all are catching this on YouTube or I'm sending it to you, vice versa, be sure to like this video, subscribe to my channel, comment on my page, let me know your thoughts and however you're running, or how these thoughts are running with you, and how you feel about this particular course and how it's coming about. I love to get your feedback so that I can make content that works for you. And I feel that a lot of this content that I'm doing for the Black Male Sexual Health course is universal in a sense. However, the group that I'm developing for the Zoom course, I want to be safe for Black men to express their ideas and their feelings. So the course in essence is for Black males. However, this content is for anyone to share and use on their own accord to discover things about their own sexual health. So that's why I'm giving it to y'all all, so y'all can see and pick apart, get your nuggets and see what y'all can develop from this course. So moving forward, and I got the consents here because I'm, illustrating a practice of consent. We are developing this within the class curricula in of itself when we're discussing our sexual experiences. However, I feel that it's a very universal thing that we can all practice consent and have a practice of consent. And within the classroom and within this course that I'm giving you all, I'm exercising consent, and I would encourage you to exercise these consents that are here. Being present in the conversation that we're having today, validate experiences, validate your experiences, validate experiences of others that are around you. Be an observer and a witness to other people's stories and how they're relating to you in essence, identify and recommend and not diagnose and prescribe ideas. That was your fault. This pointing thing, it's harmful. And these consents are a practice of harm reduction, right? So identifying and recommending ideas, encouraging ideas. This is what it sounds like to me. This is how I'm perceiving this within my body, right? not to tell someone how they are feeling within their body. You have no idea, right? So speak from your body is what this is kind of illustrating. And confidentiality, what is spoken here, what is said here, the conversations that we go into in the Zoom course, and conversations that I had with me personally are all confidential. I practice confidentiality at all times, and your stories are safe with me, right? So move forward. So this week, as I said, the second journaling practice is the first time I, and we're kind of going into the first experiences that we had of asexual nature, or within close proximity of intimacy within ourselves. And I'm going to go into ideas as to why I find this to be a very important topic and a very important idea to extract from your own being and to analyze as we go forward. I just wanted to bring it up to y'all that this is going to be the journaling practice that we'll be going through. So some of the prompts that you can like be priming yourself for is like ideas of like the first time you had a kiss of someone outside of your family, first time you had a partnership or your first boyfriend, girlfriend, the first time you broke up in a relationship with that boyfriend or girlfriend, first time you danced with somebody, and like to go into these ideas that have happened within your life, and think about who initiated these instances, these experiences, or what did you do when this experience started, and then the process of the duration of these experiences, and how did you feel about the way these experiences landed on you, and like the ending of what came about. Like, was there satisfaction? Was there a sense of incompleteness, or whatever, what have you? And I'm saying these as lighter instances, just in case if anyone is uncomfortable with speaking about their first time, because again, it could be very traumatic. I have no idea exactly how you came about in, or initiated, if you will, into the sexual experience. So these are like kind of lighter instances that you can tap into in some respects to kind of prime the pump of thinking about what happened in these first times. And of course, like if no one has to share their actual sexual first experience or any of the experiences at all, whatever you're comfortable with is what you're comfortable with. And again, like depending on your situations, this is just a way that you can uh, participate in understanding what the first time means to you, right? And again, it's to extract the patterns of what's going on in your life. So moving forward. So, right, I'm sure a lot of y'all will be asking, what does my first time have to do with my sexual health, right? What? Right? So to really get an understanding of why I think that the first time is a very important moment in people's lives, I have to get a deeper background into my studies at UC Berkeley. During the last spring semester, I was in a research methods class, and I was doing a study on Afro spiritual practices and the commonalities between the continent of Africa and the cultures that were developing their spiritual practices, and how some of those related to American culture, Afro spiritual practices that have developed, and how they kind of kept some of the linkages between these two genres of spiritual practices that came about. So that was the course this is like kind of the research document I created, the principles of Afro spiritual practices. And what I was researching, I researched many different articles on this topic, African spiritual practices and their histories, looked into some ideas of Santeria, Old Bay in Trinidad and Jamaica, African epic stories and how they relate to the African spiritual practices and cultures. African Akan people and some of their spiritual practices and cultures, Yoruba, Budan and Benin, Voodoo and Iti. The nature of the conjurer and medicine person in America, that's back in slavery times, and how they were, how they move through the plantations and stuff like that as medicine and herbal persons. Let's see, eco-theology, a new growing fad in some respects in regards to how to relate book theologies like Christianity to the natural world and how they exist, and ideas on African aesthetics, and like African American, Afro American music, arts, and cultures that develop, and how they themselves relate to a lot of spiritual practices that were developed in the continent of Africa. So pushing forward, from that research, I developed a couple of axioms that relate to the Afro spiritual practices of the African continent and the Americas, and like kind of drawing the distinctions that like kind of like brought them together, if you will, like to see how they like kind of, if you will, how the African cultural practices sustained themselves in American culture, even though we were uprooted and broken from our Afro ancestry during the times of slavery. Like, how did they continue to manifest themselves, even though we were kind of severed from our culture? In some respects, this is again the axioms I kind of came up with, and these are kind of the things that kind of held us together in some respects. And the axioms go: respect that which comes before, respect that which has more. This is a concept, a principle of eldership, and there's a sense of reverence that is given to the one that comes before, and many African or Afro-related practices. And that's more in the sense of experience than it is about knowledge. Like one's experience on this earth is very well prized in Afro spiritual cultures. You can see that in neighborhoods in America. Don't mess with the elders. You know what I'm saying? Don't talk back to the elders or whatever. There's a sense of pride or reverence for those that came before, those who were here before. And the same thing is true in on the African continent. And on top of that, where you start is the beginning of the pattern. And that's like kind of something that I kind of relate to, in the sense that the beginning houses what comes after. It sets the tone. It sets the tone for things to come. So understanding where the first came from, or the first instance, so the one that's closest, or should I say has the most experience, is further back towards the beginning, which is why there seems to be a sense of reverence towards the one who is eldest in a group, right? They have the most experience about life on this plane. So again, there's no separation of material and spiritual worlds. There's a circular understanding of life. Life is a linear understanding of life. It's like that it just runs in time. Time is not linear, and it doesn't seem to be so in many Afro spiritual practices. And there's always a sense, or not always a sense, there's a sense that everything is alive, everything has life to it, everything has a spirit, and there's a sense of respect for everything that exists. Everything that's here, everything that is possible to be within my presence is giving a sense of, okay, that's here for a reason. Vice is saying, okay, there's no particular reason for this to exist, and I can wash it off or get rid of it, or find things, invalidate things, or invalidate life experiences. And that tends to come from more Eurocentric dominant cultures. Moving forward, what you attend receives your strength. Everything you call responds. It's that call and response type of mentality that is very essential to Afro learning, Afro music, Afro dance. It's very prominent in our understanding. And on top of that, there's also this sense of, when you're understanding certain deities and gods, if you will, it's the attention that is given to the deity keeps the deity alive. If you're not paying attention to that deity, so to speak, or you like lose touch with that deity, they don't exist. They exist in this world because we attend to them. Like our altars, we give them flowers. We set up praises and dances for certain orishas and things of that nature. This keeps those spirits alive and within the context of the culture. If they are not attended to, they disappear just as much as anything else would. And this kind of goes into some of the thoughts, like it's done unto you as you believe. The belief that you set is the belief that comes true, right? According to the faith of you, be it to you. These are, again, like if there's a sense that Afro spiritual cultures don't exist, then they will disappear. And there's been a whitewashing of Afro spiritual cultures in this sense to, again, to erase that. If there's no attention that's paid to it, then it won't exist anymore. When you look at it, like from an American's perspective, like in comparison to say like in Cuba and Santeria and like Brazil and Candomblé and stuff like that, there seems to be a stronger sense of this African connection, as opposed to America, where a lot of American countries and cities, are very strong to denounce the African culture, especially with the prominence of Christianity and how that's like kind of seated in the American culture, kind of rides off any type of Afro spiritual practices to develop. So it's not so prominent in American culture, although it's coming back. It's definitely revitalizing itself because we're finding ourselves. However, like when you notice, like in other cultures around, you see that there's a very strong sense of Afro connection. And part of that is because they were attending to the spirits of their Afro ancestors, if that makes sense. And that's where that comes from. And if you know, you know. You know what you know for a reason. And this kind of goes in two ways. There's like this sense of secrecy and initiation of certain Afro spiritual practices. If they feel that you're not ready to get into certain practices, you won't get to it. That there's no explaining how someone knows. It's like a sense that's there that if you know, you know. If you're ready, you're ready. There's no thinking about it. There's no if it happens, it will happen. If you're ready for it, you'll be ready. This also goes into the sense of how we recognize our own experiences in our lives, right? You only know what you know in a situation. It's and kind of goes back to the validation process of people's experiences. Is like, I have no place to tell you what you experience. I can only tell you how I experience a certain type of feeling or a certain type of sense. I know what I know. I know what I did in this situation. And I can analyze and, make sense of the things that came about in my life. I cannot do the same for you. That's a job for you to do. I know what I know because I know it. I know what I know because I experienced it. I don't know what you know because I don't experience your life. So if you know, you know. So pushing forward, the one thing that I'm getting from these experiences, and it's gonna harp on mostly the respect that which comes before respect that which has more, is that the first time we do XYZ sets the tone for all other times to follow. As you can see in Arkansas, this set a very strong tone for what integration into schools came about in America, right? Think about that. The first time sets the tone for all of the tones to come. And like the pattern that is set by this is going to tell you, in essence, like what is to come. It's like if you want to know where you're going, look at what you're doing, so to speak. This is something I get from my spiritual elder. It's a very strong component to understand, like the things that are done, the things that happen are a part of an experience that is continuing to happen if it rebirths itself. So the first is the beginning of a new experience that happens in your life. It is a whole new universe that comes about to you. This is the beginning of what is to come. So understanding what happened the first time is going back to the very moments of the creation of the experience. This is very important for us to, catch the essence, the foundation of what is our character within these particular situations. How we receive and make sense of the first time instructs our habits. Again, like the beauty and many people will say this a lot. Many people will say this, like, if I knew what I know, if I knew back then what I know now, things would be so much different. Well, you can always go back. There's nothing stopping you from going back to those instances. And the beauty of that is that you're going back to these instances in your imagination with the mindset that you have now, with the knowledge that you have now, to see things within that situation that you were not privy to in that particular moment. You can sense things. You have more knowledge about like how people act and behave, that you can like curtail the ideas and revise the experience so that you have more knowledge about how you conducted yourself within these particular situations. Again, this is a form of harm reduction because we cannot change what happened to us, but we can reimagine what happened to us so that we have a better understanding of how to enact a situation that may be similar in the future or in the nows to come, right? This is the purpose of the journaling practice. This is the purpose of this class and this course, is to go back in these first times and go back in these instances and find these patterns so that we can make sense of them, so we know. The first time will provide essential information in regards to who we are as creative beings and how we are as a character in this world. There are certain things that we do, that are just very essential. Our, if you call it our demeanor, our constitution. There's some things that just came to us from birth. I remember my mother telling me, a lot of my family members telling me I was a very quiet baby. I came out the womb somewhat very observant as a child, and that hasn't changed. I'm still that very same observant child, and knowing that that is a part of my history, well, like, okay, well, if this is part of my history, it's not like this is something that was like forced on me. This is a part of my character, my nature. I'm quiet by nature. So it would help me make sense of other things that happen within my life, knowing that I have this natural tendency to be more quiet and reserved and observe things going on in my life. That's the purpose of going back to the first time. So moving forward. Oh yeah, this is the topics of discussion that we'll be going through later on. Let me go back so I can beep, boop, beep, boop, beep, boop, beep, as slowly as this moves. So the journaling, as mentioned, is we are going to, journal out or take account of our first experiences. And from these first experiences that we're going to journal out, like our first kiss, our first friendship, our first dance, the first time, that we hugged someone, the first time that we told someone that we loved them, all of these instances, and we're going to, take account of how they played out in our lives and how we, reacted or responded to these particular instances in our lives. Because again, from there, we can come to understand how we maneuver through our lives and how we can reduce the harm in later instances in our lives that may be similar in nature. And the same thing goes for sexual experiences. What was the first sexual experience? What was the first sexual experiences that you had with yourself? What were the first sexual experiences that you had with someone else? And if you're willing to dive deep into those instances, you'll notice that there are certain type of ideas that tend to pop back up. It's like somebody would ask, like, you tend to date the same person all the time. Why do you keep dating these blah blah blah? If you go back to the first time, you may catch a glimpse as to why this pattern of person keeps coming back to your life. There's something that you did not learn. There's something that you did not make sense of, to why this person, this particular entity or type of person keeps coming back to you. So it's good to understand, and thinking of this again, this isn't linear. This is circular. This is reincarnation. You may think that one situation has ended and another one comes back that looks exactly like the one that just ended. Why? Because there's something that there's something that was not caught. There was something that was not solved. in the last situation. There's something that's incomplete. So this is why we need to go back so that we can complete these stories, so we can revise them so that we know where we're going and we can begin to set boundaries as to, if I don't want this kind of person, if I don't want this kind of situation, I know what type of characteristics I need to enact in order to prevent these individuals from coming back to my life. These are the boundaries that we can set when we know what we have done and we have analyzed what we have done and we revise what we have done in our lives, right? So this is the purpose. This is the journaling that we're going to be doing for this week. And again, let me go back to So again, we will be meeting on October 1st on Zoom. This is the first time on, so we can discuss these particular situations that we have gone through in our lives. And this is the schedule that will go on for the rest of the semester up until December 10th. Again, if y'all like this video, please subscribe to my channel. I'll be continuing to put on more content about my spiritual practices and these journaling concepts and prompts to help y'all understand more sense of yourselves and to create practices that reduce harm in your lives. Reduce the harm in your lives, right? Because that's what we're looking to do. We're living in a world that's full of tension right now. Everybody's battling each other. Everybody's competing with each other. Everybody's arguing. Everybody's trying to get their point across. And, there's no dialogue. There's no conversation. There's no sense of finding common ground between our life experiences between each other. And we need to get back into that if we're ever going to get to a place where this dissension, this combat between each other stops. We have to learn how to talk to each other. We have to learn how to name our experiences and name what we're doing in experiences before we can start pointing the finger at anyone. Matter of fact, there's no reason to even point the finger at anybody about anybody's experience, because the only thing you know is what you know about you. That's cut and dry. There's nothing else to say about that. So the more you know about you, the more you know about others. The more you strengthen you, the more you strengthen others. I can do nothing for you now, but I can improve you by improving myself, right? And this is what we're leading towards with these spiritual practices, these sexual understandings of our identity and our creation within this world. So please, again, like, subscribe, hit me up, give me feedback, tell me what's going on, how you resonate with these ideas, conversate with me. Let me know if this is landing on you, and I will continue to respond. Yes, call and response is what we do. Afro did. So let me stop sharing my screen. I thank y'all for listening to me today. I thank y'all for being with me and connecting with me. Please hit me up if y'all have any questions, concerns, comments, or positive affirmations that y'all like to drop my way. I love it all and I appreciate it all. So thank y'all. Be one with one, and I will see y'all later.